My name is MALXOLM BRIXKHOUSE. And you're watching Culture Interviews. I am from Brooklyn, New York. I've never lived anywhere else, so yeah. I've been born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I live in Flatbush, and yeah, this is where I've been my whole life. I am 19 years old, about to be 20 in January. I started making music around the time I was, around the time I was 12 years old. I always had like melodies in my head since I was like 7. Like, I don't know, I guess like, I was always into like drawing and stuff like that. So I guess art was always a thing for me. But like one of these years my mom bought me a guitar and shit. And basically, I had a drummer who went to church. And well, he wasn't a drummer, he was my best friend. He started coming to my house like every weekend. And he played the drums while I was learning how to play the guitar. We were both into metal, and she just found out, you know, this kid likes guitar, so I'm just buying him a guitar. I tried to put him in magic, that didn't work. Tried to do like a bunch of like freaking athletic stuff, that didn't work, but like the guitar stuck with me. And with my friend that played the drums. So I just, you know, merged together and it started working.
Mm-hmm. So that was around like 12 years old?
That was around, the band became a thing around like 8, 9 years old, but it became serious around 11.
Okay. The
band became serious around 2012.
Mm-hmm.
All the members we had, I wasn't the singer at first. We had, we had an old singer, we had me as a guitarist and a drummer. I'd write all the lyrics, and we were called Tears of Blood at the time actually, and we performed at the Apollo Theater for like amateur night, and like, you know, that's like basically American Idol, but just for if you're from New York, you know what the Apollo Theater is. And so we won the first round, lost the second round, and if you know the story about our band Unlocking the Truth, which is really probably how this interview is even here. I was in a band called Unlocking the Truth, which, like, you know, we had a time of a lot of success. After the Apollo Theater, we started playing in Times Square. By then, parental stuff started happening, and the singer had to leave, so it was just me and the drummer playing in the street. We found a bassist who didn't know how to play the bass. He was just our friend, and I literally taught him from scratch how to play the bass. And basically, we just played in Times Square until we got recognized.
Mm-hmm.
We made like $1,000 each weekend. We played Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, the band had the split, yeah, this year 2020, and or was it 2019? It was definitely 2020. It was definitely 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, there were like years of like infighting and like, you know, a bunch of egos. What that has to do with the kids or the parents. But mainly at the end of the day, we just went our separate ways. We grew up and we realized that what we were doing as kids just might not work out. Like, just, it's not good. It wasn't good for our mental health or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we did one last video together. You can watch it. It's under my name, MALXOLM BRIXKHOUSE, with the X's right behind me. Every C in my name is an X, so that's the only difference. And we did one last video together, and basically we just went our separate ways. The bassist, he's raising his kid right now, and he's like working a regular job, trying to do a girlfriend, so he's doing good by himself. And the drummer moved to Cali, and he's producing. He's doing a lot of like production work, like engineering and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how we're doing right now, and I'm still doing my metal stuff because this is my passion still. So performing the Star Spangled Banner at the Nets game was a very interesting experience. It's not the only time I performed at, like, you know, like what do you call those, like athletic events, whatever. I also performed the Canadian anthem at some hockey game. But speaking of the Star Spangled Banner at, you know, Barclays Center for the Nets, it's a crazy experience, but and I don't really take that as a metal version. I just knew how to play guitar, and they called me, so they called me to play, and they see me play. We played the national anthem in Times Square while like part of our set. So I guess they seen us do it before, and sadly we couldn't bring like all the drums and stuff to the set because it'd be too much to take on and off while the play's about to get started. So I had to do it by myself. So that was a little nerve wracking.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So every time I look back at it, I know a lot of people like it, but I look back at it and I judge it because I know that my guitar is like slightly out of tune. Like that's the little stuff I noticed. It definitely wasn't as good as Jimi Hendrix. Even though people like to compare me as a little Jimi Hendrix, but although nerve wracking, it was a great experience, and I do get a lot of recognition from it. I'm just really hard on myself, but it was a cool experience. And mind you, I'm also 13, so it feels like regular life. Like this is what this is just what life is. It doesn't feel like this extremely cool experience that's happening for me. It's like I've been going to, I played Coachella, I've been on like TV, like I've done this before, so just like another, go around. So I do produce, I engineer, and mix and master. The main stuff I do is for myself, clearly. I basically play the guitar, which is over there, play the bass. I program the drums like one would make like beats and stuff like that, and I just sing over it. I mix and master it, and that's how my songs come together. And I also have my side hustle where I make like my little bit of like side change doing like studio time for like a bunch of like my rap friends. So I'm able to mix and master them, so they give me practice on like how to mix like vocals and stuff like that. They're giving me different flavors of what to add to my own metal music, because my idea of metal shouldn't just be what it's been the whole time. The point is progression. And I want to be able to take sounds that I hear our youth that our youth is attracted to. Not only it's not like I'm separate from the youth because I'm fully with them. Because I don't listen to metal myself anymore. I listen to only rap. So my goal is basically to make guitar music cool again. Like MGK just came out with a rock album. But my thing is not just coming out with rock, but like having metal or rock, whatever you want to call it, alternative, have its own new style. So that's what I'm aiming towards. Well, being a child star can affect everybody differently. Not everybody, it doesn't have to be like the tragic, all the child stars, so now I'm like ruined, blah blah blah. But in my perspective, one thing it did positively was give me the stamina to keep going when things are not working, because I know that it's worked before and I know that's actually possible. But on the other hand of that, there was a lot of like, I usually like, me and my mom have a lot of arguments still about this kind of stuff. Selling your soul is like a thing that people like to throw around a lot, but it's not really about like a Satan tattoo or something like that. This was just because I was bored and stupid. But I guess it felt like I did sell the piece of happiness and contentment with actual family for, money and everything else, and the attention and stuff like that, which when you look back at life is definitely not worth it. You much rather have your family be by your side rather than, everything be about business. So that's the only like hard part about having a lot of fame too fast, is just probably missing out on a regular childhood. I did go to regular schools. I was never taken out of school. I had regular friends, but not friends that could relate to my experience. So it can feel extremely like overwhelming with a lot of attention, and actually extremely isolating at the same time. But I take it as a blessing, because now I think it just prepared me. The time that I have off now, I don't really call it time off, but time to prepare for like the second round. It taught me like just trying to see like, I guess like God. Like I'm not necessarily religious. I believe in like like the universe and all that kind of stuff like that. Like it's the universe or God's way of showing me that I gave you this opportunity. You have this gift. I could take it back. You're not all of that. You're not like who you like think you are. And it was like I had a lot, like years of humbling experiences, which I'm still going through, like the drugs, or like being selfish and treating people like regular humans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which takes a lot. It's a long journey, especially when you're a kid trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
And I feel like when the time is right for it to happen again, it will. And if it's not meant to happen again, it won't. And that only be because of me. I have control over it. How serious I want it. Because a lot of things, though my mother hates that I say this, was handed to me. I did work a little bit at Times Square. We worked like hours on end in Times Square, but even other people that would do that still wouldn't be signing to Sony in the next few months. So a lot of things were handed to us, and having to work for it gives me a whole experience. It allows me to connect again to people my age. I used to struggle with trusting a lot of people, thinking it's just like out to use me and what I have. And that could be just like past experiences from like not trusting the people in the industry, you know, watching people make you a bunch of promises and stuff like that and watch them fade away. And it taught me how to humble myself. This break taught me how to humble myself. So childhood fame is kind of crazy, but you know, there's good things and bad things about it. Literally, I couldn't come up with a better name. This is literally my name. My name is MALXOLM BRIXKHOUSE. I was just born with this name, and I hated the name Brick House because people in the school would just be like, she's a brick house, like that corny song. And then, you know, I hated it for the longest. But then when it was time for me to go solo, I just couldn't think of a stage name. Like, and I just always put X's. Like, I'm not gang affiliated. I'm not like, not blood or anything, so that's not why there's an X through the C's. But I just my Instagram name, I just put the X's instead of the C's, and I just like, you know what, I'm gonna just take my Instagram name and use it as my stage name, and that's how we came up with Malcolm, you know, the X thing. But it's still just MALXOLM BRIXKHOUSE, however you want to pronounce it. I never thought about this on the rap side. It's easier to name rappers, actually, I'd rather collaborate with, because that's what I'm going towards. Not that my music is rap, but like, I would love to hear rappers take on actual rock music, like with drums and stuff like that. So like, definitely Trippie Redd, for sure. Trippie Redd, it'd be cool to hear like Travis on something. Uzi. And that's about it for the rap side. Even though those are not my favorite artist is Lucky. You might know him as Lucky-esque, but you know, he dropped his name from the S to just Lucky. He makes like, I guess, cloud rap. It's a lot of like drug talk music. Like all the girls, he's a big inspiration for like the lyrics I come up with. Like the way he talks about his experiences gave me a new way to write lyrics. So, you know, shout out to Lucky. Like you're my like biggest influence. Though I can never feature with him, his sound is so different. But on the metal side, I wouldn't even know, because I'm not really a big fan, because my whole point is to lead away from what it's been before. So I don't know who I'd collaborate with. I've already opened for these bands, and the bands that I listen to are now like in their 40s or 50s. Not that it's corny to be old, because we're all gonna get old one day, but they just don't have like what I'm looking for. So I can't even think of a band in my genre that I would collaborate with. I just want to try like new sound. And that's crazy. I started smoking weed around the time I was 12, and that was literally, I go to therapy, so I gotta know about my drug use stuff. I literally started smoking weed when I was 12. I've always been interested in drugs like before, like when I was like 10 or something, like when I was still like just writing like weird just songs that like were not just like complete or finished or anything like that. I made a song called On the Edge, and it was like a drug influenced song, and I wasn't even doing drugs yet. I was always intrigued in the idea of drugs themselves. Not that I needed to take them or anything like that, but when I had the opportunity, which was like 8th grade, it actually took me a whole year to get high for the first time, which is not funny. I guess I didn't inhale for the first time, so I guess they were just robbing me. I would buy the 8th and they would just smoke the rest of the week because they knew I didn't know what I was doing. So, you know, and then I would actually start getting high. I would take 3 pulls and get high. They would just smoke the rest, but it's whatever. I was like freaking 13. So, and I guess like I have a form of like undiagnosed ADHD. Like I guess you could tell by the fidgeting and stuff like that. It's like stuff like that. Talking a lot, having a lot of thoughts, like a lot of racing thoughts and stuff like that. the teachers would, it'd be hard for teachers to have me like sit still in class. Like, but I didn't need special ed or anything like that. But they just knew I just like didn't know how to stop talking in class. They always like had to tell me to shut up, like try to move me around. And you think like that kind of stuff doesn't like affect like
Nah, that
what you think
definitely
of yourself, but it does in the long run. And I guess like I realized that when I smoked weed and I came to school, like it. Well, I'm sleeping now, so then you can't tell me that I'm not talking in class, and if I'm awake, I'm barely paying attention. I'm not talking. I'm just sitting there zoning out, and you're not complaining now. So
Yeah.
you know, real drug use comes from trauma, so weird stuff like that.
Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about like your first time getting high? Like, how was the experience? Like, what was your thoughts?
The first time I get high, I barely remember anything. That shit was fun as hell. I just remember everything getting really bright. I remember going to like this park bathroom I used to smoke at like after school.
Yeah.
And I used to always act like I was high, but I never was. So the time I came out and I actually was high, no one believed me. And I was with my friend from my other school, and it was his first time getting high too. So we were just having a blast. It was just like a bunch of uncontrollable laughter. Everything was just like really bright, and I didn't really care. It was more of a psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
Not that I've like tried. I've experienced psychedelics later on in life. It was more like a psychedelic experience, and I just really enjoyed it. I don't know, and I just kept doing it, and I guess it took me away from. I guess unconsciously it took me away from like the stresses I was dealing with like my band and stuff like that. And, like, you know, I didn't recognize that like as using weed for that at that point, but through going to therapy and being 13 to about to be 20, I definitely realized that's where like the weed and like abusing weed came from.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like I was just smoking weed. It went from that to like smoking weed in 8th grade, but by the time I'm in 9th grade, like smoking like 8 spliffs before school and like taking an edible while I'm in there, going back home, getting high, going back to sleep. Before I go to sleep, get high, wake and bake, go to school, eat edible. So it would just continue like that all the time for years. Like I said, when I was young, I was always interested into drugs. Just like the idea of them. I never wanted to do like, I never wanted to pop pills or anything like that.
Yeah.
But when I started smoking weed, I definitely started looking into psychedelics. And I was like, all right, this sounds cool. Like expanding your mind, learning more about the universe and stuff like that. Mind you, I'm 13. I'm not recognizing that my brain is actually still developing, and it could take these experiences I have and it could shape the way I look at the world for the rest of my life. So by the time I was like basically 16 or 15, I basically started trying acid. When you do acid or something like that, you're taking a spiritual drug like that. You're supposed to understand that, you know, like you're one with God and everything like that, and that you are God. But I took it like, so like I said, when I was tripping, basically you're watching things change in front of you, and the only way to accept it is to just let go, because one might not have the willpower in their brain to be like, oh shit, things are moving and this is not how reality is supposed to be, and you might freak out, which started happening to me later on. But when I first started doing it, it wasn't like that, and I started looking at it and I started seeing things change, and I was acceptive of it. And when I came back from that realm to trying to use the knowledge I learned, was trying to enforce this knowledge to other people rather than incorporating it into myself. So I learned the most I can about it, but looking 2020 hindsight, I was really just trying to get like someone like my mom to understand what I was going through instead of making myself change. And that's where I fucked up. So I like literally made a whole separation between like literally the spiritual world and the regular world, which is not even separate. They live in the same field. It's just like opening your eyes to something that's always been there. You just haven't paid attention to it. I just fell into the trap of thinking, oh, I'm God, I get everything. You guys are stupid, blah, 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 blah. Society doesn't work. But later on, you know, through like, you know, that caused a lot of problems for me. More separation between my family, more like misunderstandings. I was less able to ground myself, basically. And
so what happened moving
past
so it went from weed to acid to what happened afterwards?
Alright, so then the acid so then weed changed forever. I couldn't smoke weed. Like I could for a while, but then weed started becoming very like psychedelic itself. Yeah. And so weed's like never been the same for me actually. So I started having this thing called, you might not know what this is. Most people usually don't, it's called HPPD, which is hallucinogen perception persistent disorder, which is what I struggled with, which is like basically like a bunch of flashbacks, like but like
lingering effects of the acid.
Lingering effects of the acid, but like all the time, like I was scared to go outside for like this happened for like 2 years straight.
Yeah.
And it was just like scary to go outside because I would look outside and the trees would just look different and the way they move, and I knew that it just other people there's no way other people experience life like this.
Yeah.
And they're just walking around okay. Like, there's no way this is possible.
Yeah.
I know this is my brain doing this to me right now. And that really just stems from the anxiety. HPPD stems from anxiety, just not accepting the fact. And the more you focus on that kind of stuff, the worse the HPPD gets. So it's like, okay, the tree looks weird. Oh my God, I don't know why the tree looks weird. And then it just keeps going. And, you know, it just basically made me lose touch with reality. And this is where, like, the Xan addiction really came in. The only real cure for HPPD is like benzodiazepines, which is like Klonopin, Ativan, Xanax, whatever else there is.
Drugs that
Yeah,
negate anxiety.
Negate anxiety, exactly.
Yeah.
For panic attacks. I was already panicking. I took myself to the hospital this one time. I got too high from weed, and I felt like I was having a heart attack. Took myself to the hospital, and ever since then, like I would go to like every morning before I go to school, I would go check my blood pressure to see if I was like, if I was like had high blood pressure, if I was like at risk for a heart attack.
Yeah.
And it would be high, but it's just literally because I was that anxious. Like I would get anxious before I would do it. 'Cause I was anxious that it would be high. So it was just anxiety all around.
Yeah.
So then one day my friend brings us in to my house, and like it's just an environment like people make music, you know, drugs and all that kind of stuff. So I can't blame them. Brought it there, I didn't really feel anything. By this time I already like kind of like stopped being a friend of weed. It was doing more bad than good. So I already took my breaks. I would smoke there, and they just have the same anxious effect on me. And then like I got to a point where like I took 3 Xans trying to like see like what are these people like doing. I don't see how people are really this high from a Xan. And the point is, it's not psychoactive. It's really to numb the anxiety, like your anxious effects. So the one day I smoked weed with it, I was like, oh shit, that's what this shit does. Like, it stops anxiety, and on top of that, you feel the Xan high on top of that. The thing that you're not realizing that you're feeling while you're on a Xan, because you're just so calm, you think that you're just calm, but you're really just on a Xan. I realized that effect enhanced plus the weed high I used to like all together. So it was like a cross addiction. So I got really hooked on Xans like really quickly. And that was like a big part of my story this for 2020.
Yeah.
Like that's a big part of my music right now. Cause that's a real addiction. Like I put the psychedelics down because it just fucked my brain too much. Weed, you could put it down. You can have withdrawals from weed. I don't know who the fuck told you can't, but if you smoke all the time, you just try to stop. That's just gonna be hard. But like, I was abusing Xans for like, I guess I would say 9 months before I went to like inpatient rehab, and I was taking about like 5 to 7 bars a day because that's what I thought was normal, and I literally didn't see a problem with it because I felt normal, and I felt like this is like just what I do. And during that time I got stupid tattoos like Live Fast and the Satan tattoo and all this kind of stuff that I thought was just so cool to just do drugs and stuff like that. And like I told you, I was younger, I was just into it. And like, you know, like the childhood trauma of like being told to shut up, being told like you do, like I'm like too active or something like that. Like childhood bullying, like for my nail polishers being the way I am. A lot of that comes into the fact of when you're abusing drugs like Xanax and stuff like that, which I uncovered while I was in rehab. But like the Xandra is just there to, you know, just gave me a place of comfort. Just made me feel comfortable. And I never saw myself as an addict.
Are you still going through
I relapsed.
Xan addiction right now?
I was 100 and something days clean, and I relapsed literally last week.
Yeah.
And I'm weaning myself off again. And I made a promise, like my therapist, blah blah blah, that if I so I'm on like a weaning schedule right now. So to be honest, I'm on like a half right now. My tolerance is so fucking high, but like I'm weaning off Xans again because I had a 10-minute seizure, because I went cold turkey, because I literally got sick of people telling me that I was like, you know, a crackhead or something like that. So I went cold turkey, which is something you're not supposed to do with Xanax specifically or alcohol if you're really addicted. So I had like a 10-minute seizure, had to go to rehab because I was a danger for myself. Learned a lot in rehab, came back home. They told me the things not to do, like don't go into certain environments, don't do like, you know, just change your friend groups, be more positive, keep yourself occupied, find new hobbies, find new friends that do different things that didn't listen. And they were right, back on it. But like, you know, it's all about your own. Like if you really don't want to do it, you won't do it. Yeah. So, you know, what I would say, not even for the youth, for anybody, because we're all just humans. Adults are just big children. I lost where I went wrong, I just lost my passion for music because I was so intrigued with fame, intrigued with what the world thought of me, intrigued with impressing people. Stopped focusing on what I loved. I guess my message would be to just keep following your heart and don't take any shit, like follow your gut instinct. It'll lead you to the right path no matter what nobody says. And like there's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of no's. And you have to remember there's going to be this one yes that will change your day. And yeah, I definitely lost myself when the music industry happened, but that doesn't have to be everybody. So right now I'm relearning how to love music again. I lost myself because I stopped loving music. I was only doing it for the idea of, you know, just having people accept me. Like, it's just like relating to my childhood trauma, which led me to a dark path, dark friends, people that are not really truly there for me, when instead I could have, you know, kept, you know, fighting, like wearing nail polish and not caring. But instead I gave into the influences of like, I don't know, like my friends and like teachers telling me to talk to myself like that, little shit like that. That were big influences on me. But if I would have just like kept my head focused and listened, you know, to the people that we don't want us to, like our parents and stuff like that, you know, I'd be further along. I realized that when you stop doing stuff like drugs or stop hanging around the wrong people, it doesn't just gotta be drugs. People have sex addictions, food addictions, stuff like that. When you like find the stuff you love, the universe will love you back. Like I said, I don't want to be like cliche or psychedelic or that kind of stuff, but it's like really on that kind of like level. It's like when you really like learn how to love yourself, the universe will make room for love to come back. When you start having self-pity and doubting yourself, all that will come out of that is
more sorrow.
It's more sorrow. You won't get up to make music. You won't do anything to make change. You won't change anything. You can't feel sorry for yourself. We all go through stuff. And not to say that your problems aren't big, because we all have problems, but we have to always overcome them, because the universe is made of love and light. This is just a lot of conditioning we've been through school, through our parents, that we have to break free from. No matter the backlash, like stuff like that. Yeah. So like, take the fucking beat down and just get back up, man. And you'll make yourself happy. Only you can make yourself happy. There's no such thing as finding external love. You'll find external love once you find love within yourself, because you find that love within yourself, you share with somebody else, and you'll see that you have a lot more in common than you thought. These people are not that much different from you. These people are you. You are them. We all struggle. We all have love. We all have burdens. And when you start loving yourself, you're able to show them that they have the capacity to love themselves too. And it just brings the world together one by one. And I'm not trying to save the world. I can't save the world. But, you know, I could save myself. And if saving myself also helps save a couple hundred other people or 10 people, whoever the amount, it was worth it, because it made me happy. And like I said, I'm you. And if I'm happy and I'm hopefully making you happy, then I did my job. So yeah, that's my message to the youth. Just keep following your dream, or anybody in general. Keep following your heart, follow what you love. Don't let society tell you or put you in these boxes that you don't want to be in, because they just give you these ultimatums. The world is free. You are here to do what you want to do. It's a whole art. It's a whole playground. Like, just have fun with it.